The book of Job, chapter 9, and verse 24, and it reads, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, all glory to God, Loyam, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem. Double honors to the elders, to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith, as well as with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and Aqua that they're listening and learning, Lord, willingly this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, feeling like the other nations will subscribe to this truth to you. I say Shalom. Brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, Yahweh, meaning He is, He exists, or He to be, by Hashem, by His hand, how is the Hashem, His name, Yahushua, meaning He saves, or He delivered, true names of the Most High God. And His Son, who these people ignorantly call God, and Jesus Christ, but whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua. This lesson is inspired by, it's a, I don't really watch the channel. I watch the shorts. Do we bringing out, what they say, the best liars, they tell a lot of truth. So I can't say he a liar. Well, I can say this. Either he's set up, he an insider, or he is like ignorant on certain things. But he does bring out very gratifying information as far as the way the system works and whatnot. But then he goes left field because he goes into the grays. You got individuals that believe in the UAPs or the UFOs. They believe that it's actual entities on these crafts, on these vehicles, and it's a society of people that believe, you got more than one alien race, which they're pushing that whole narrative of basically the reason why we need a space force. So again, you got a lot of little insiders, put it like that, like how they say Candace Owens is set up. She's like, what's that? What is she called? I forgot what the title is, but it's like some opposition. So she's like set up to oppose, the system, when actually she's set up. She works for the system. She's an insider to the system. So that's how you get people to expose themselves. You got a lot of those little podcasts and different platforms that they ask you to participate. You might follow their channel and they'll ask you questions. Well, if you feel like this, put a such and such in the comment section. Put a I was listening to Steve Ram. He was saying put a 4-7 if you agree with DJ Trump. And then he was like, if you don't, put an X. So if they're monitoring and pretty much collecting all this data, and then your IP address could be traced and all these different things, and then eventually we are going to have digital ID, pretty much. If you're opposed to, this man's way of thinking, then that puts a big red target on your back, right? So, again, forgive me for the rant, but again, just, trying to set the stage for, get some good information, because some of this stuff lines up with things that the apostles have said, things I've discovered and researched on my own, because America is one big ass dummy corporation, you know what I mean? And it's like this place is not circling the drain, it's being liquidated. That's why they're not putting too much stock in it. I was listening to, because again, they signed that memoranda, so it's not really a peace deal. After further research, it goes into that memoranda is like pretty much it's not an official deal. Pretty much it's like a stepping towards actually making an official deal. And why would we be surprised? Because DJ T got that silver tongue, you know what I'm saying? But it is a 60-day, being that they signed this, it's like a 60-day peace agreement. And then, both sides are trying to give up stuff. Like I said myself, personally speaking as a man, I said, well, I didn't see them leaving the region. And that's one of the things that Iran is suing for Babylon the Great to lead the region. And then Babylon wants Iran to open up the strait. Again, all those. See, this isn't for everybody. That's why I don't cater to the timid, because if you gonna call yourself being in this thing, be all the way in this thing. Don't be 1 foot in the world and 1 foot out. And that's speaking for myself first and foremost. Because again, I haven't been in the world like that, in a long time. But yesterday I caught myself having to repent. Well, not yesterday, but because again, I was listening to something that a brother said years ago. He was like, you got to be, if you're not disciplined and really locked in, you could forget that it's the. I remember a brother said that he would have to pray because he had children, so he would cook on a Sabbath, to have to feed them, which, I can't put judgment to that. I got children. I've tried, many a times not to cook on a Sabbath, or we'll eat cold sandwiches and whatnot. But it's been many a times I have forgot it was a Sabbath. You get what I'm saying? So that's how deadly serious this thing is. That's why it's by the sure mercies of David that we ain't really destroyed. You know what I mean? And it's so, or it's such a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living power. Because again, it ain't your will. You know what I mean? That's again, I've learned a lot recently. Again, like the Lord giving me these mega downloads. It's like, yeah, it's so important to understand, you want to give mercy because you want to receive mercy. You know what I mean? But anyhow, because you can see this place ain't gonna get no mercy. Then you thinking about what DJ Trump did. The nigga sit up there and signed the memorandum, but then sit up there and signed the act of he basically invoked the War Powers Act so he could produce weapons. And it could be, the stockpile here is getting low, but it could also be that they prepare for war because, again, you got the situation they're doing with the Israelis as far as joining the military and all this other shit. What I mean? The scriptures say never trust thine enemy. So Salakia for the rant, but I'm going to go ahead and play this fair use, and then I'm going to play the video because, again, the dude be going left field with the alien shit and some other shit, but at the same time, what he about to say in this video is actually very much the truth. Very informative. So it says, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So he probably gonna flag me because that's why I play fair use, because anybody like that. This guy, watch up.
Why do you think that every state has a different set of laws? We have a common law, right? Federal and all that. But then we have state laws.
And that's wicked. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, so we all up under, like you said, common laws because it's United States of America. But then each state is like its own jurisdiction. That's why you have different laws. And he about to break something down again that's you probably never take the time to even think about. Just like how like the dude said, it's people dying every day, but they not building new cemeteries. So where are all these bodies going? Then you wonder why you finding or you seeing these videos of it looking like body parts in the food and shit like that. And I wouldn't be surprised at the least bit. You know what I mean? Like I said again, the Lord keeps us from knowing certain stuff. Like for instance, you got individuals probably been getting cheated on, and the scriptures talk about. I just heard a brother. He kind of quoted it, but he ain't go to the scripture. But it's like pretty much when a man is cheated on, you can't appease him. Money won't appease him. Like the scriptures talk about. How do it go? Damn, it's on the tip of my tongue too. It's a scripture to talk about how. Damn, it's on the tip of my tongue. It talks about how like you can't appease a man's wrath with I can't think. I think it's like in Ecclesiastes though. In Salakia.
Got us. Because how can you drive a car or have a gun or all these other things? You need a license for them. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense, right? So it's in our Constitution a right to bear arms. Why do I need a license?
Yeah, because
Right. Think about that.
no right to drive a car.
You have the right to travel.
Right. And this is why the cop stops you. I'm traveling my own capacity.
Traveling, yeah.
I'm not driving. This is the scam system that we're in. When it
Right. That's why, again, at first I didn't believe in it either, but I heard the elders speak on it from personal experience, because and it shows, and when you got a lot of sovereign citizens. I knew a guy that pretty much his father, I worked, when I was homeless, I ended up doing some roofing. And, the guy, he was a hustler, you know what I mean? He's hustling, but at the same time, he doing his roofing shit. And, long story short, he ended up catching the case, and he caught the case, but he ended up getting out, because he did the sovereign citizen shit. And like I said, his father pretty much was a dude that was from the streets, and show you the capacity of Jake. I think that was like Reuben Carter for that movie Hurricane. You know who else did that though? Freeway Ricky Ross. Freeway Ricky Ross was literally illiterate. He couldn't do nothing but count money. He couldn't read. But when he got in jail, when he got locked up, he started pretty much figuring out how to read, and that's how he ended up how to figure out how to get out of jail. So show you the greatness of Jake for real, because again, they think we so simple and stupid, but then have a Jake, like that's some cold shit. Think about it. You literally, well, that's deep to me. I don't, that's,
comes to the money, sovereignty, corporation. When you establish a corporation, it's a corporation that's, it's dead. It's a dead entity. This is how their magic works, right? So like it's on your dollars, symbolism, Freemasons use symbolism, all this stuff that we use today, it's all occult magic. Riverbank, current, C. I need to be liquid in order to pay for this. So we're using language of C because there's more of.
He said it's occult, meaning it's hidden. Because in the forefront, again, the masses look at the system like this, but again, it's for those that are what's the word, the initiated. They are able to manipulate the law. Show you that in the Matrix. He said, his rules. He said, but if you know the rules, you can break it. Or he said some rules can be bent, some rules can be broken. And that's why they was able to run up the Matrix is a very deep movie. At the end of the day, at first, I was like, she be in the spirit, the lady that wrote that book. Because, those were based on books. And then they became movies, But I believe personally, for her to do that like that, and all her books and movies lean to the theme of, the humans versus the machines and all that. And then look at what you about to deal with. You know what I mean? She got to be an insider. You know what I mean? What's her name? Sophia something? Yeah. Which she an Israelite all day. Yeah. And the Lord can choose to give whomever he will the heavy download. We all use for the purpose of the Habashim Shah. He will do his pleasure. That's been on my spirit for a minute now, Isaiah 46. Because it ain't about you, or you'll be like, again, you only got the free, you ever been in a situation where you like, how the fuck I'm here? I've done that many times, like, hold on, I'm supposed to be doing this. How I get over here? You know what I mean? Because it's the will of the Lord. I don't care how disciplined I don't care how much anything, like I said, again, I wholeheartedly truly believe that, like I said again, man's goals is of the Lord.
The sea than there is of the land. So it's maritime admiralty law. It's the law of the sea that governs everything. This is what this is based on. So when you're at birth and you're like a ship, a dock.
What's that? Isaiah 47. Stand thine in thy enchantments. Because he said, like he said, they occult laws, which occult just means hidden. You know what I mean? It's hidden principles and whatnot. Again, a lot of people don't understand about energy. The elders understand about energy. Well, the only elder I really hear speak on it is the beloved elder apostle. So, but yeah, energy never dies. And they understand that concept. And that's why no new thing under the sun, And that's why they want to put this charagma within you to make you a perpetual slave. That's why they're trying to destroy the God gene, to cut you off from your power, because again, they understand that it's a prophecy that what was that J. Edgar Hoover did with the whole what's the
delivers who you are.
What's the head of the I can't think of that dude name from Chicago that helped form the GDs. Larry Hoover, pretty much they set up to try to stop the Black Messiah, because in their mind they don't believe. That's why any kind of black leader of any organization is going to be monitored, because again they're fearing the prophecy. Larry Hoover is supposed to have been quoted saying that it was never the only Black Messiahs be the one that they create, the one that they give you. So that's why you're going to have a whole bunch of sellouts. Because it's a quote or a saying that, you can buy a nigga cheap.
And your manifest is your birth certificate. Why do we need birth certificates? Because they trade on it. The IMF has a deal to where every driver's license, birth certificate, any kind of license, they trade on the open market. You're a stock. So this is why, you have Social Security. They're paying you pennies on the dollar to what you're owed already.
And I know about, with debt, let's say I owe $20,000 for a payment. Once I defer it, it gets to a point where people are just selling and buying my debt.
Yeah, so even with
And I know that one for a fact. That's what, like they said, I've had debt, because when I was young, my father used to laugh at people, because when I was young, I used to be able to, I've always had a deeper voice and whatnot, and, I had mustaches 13, so I was buying cigarettes and doing all kind of shit at a young age, it was just different for me, put it like that. So I go and order certain I always wanted to have wealth, you know what I mean? So it's funny when the Lord presented it to me, I saw it for exactly what it was, and that's the craziest part about it. But I remember I ordered these books on real estate and how you gonna do this, and they wanted a certain payment. It was kind of like, how they can set you up with that telemarketing shit where they really try to get money from you. And my father pretty much, I guess they called one day when my father answered the phone. He said, he's only 13. So they had to chuck that shit, you know what I'm saying? Or if, he said, a company sells your debt, say, for instance, when the city, for instance, say you owe a ticket and then they sell it to an outside firm, now they're trying to collect it. Well, once you sell the debt, it's no longer my debt, like he said. So eventually, they go away, you know what I mean? Like you said, don't answer the phone. That's why you rarely hear about them taking you to court. They try to get you or persuade you they bank it on the fact that you being ignorant of the law. Yeah, this place is set up with so many fucking snares and traps, you know what I mean? And that's why Esau is likened onto a fowler, he cut it, And ultimately he's trying to trap the whole humanity into this, beast fucking system.
the credit system. So when they sell your debt, you're not responsible for that debt anymore. So when they call you, hey, someone's like, who are you? I don't have a contract with you. Somebody sold your debt. So hang up.
If I would have found out about Uber and how they were going to do it early on, based on the little information I know, I would have jumped all over this. Because I understand what a driver's license is. When you have a driver's license, that means you're operating in commerce. Right when I heard.
So that's how everybody's gonna be actually if they, because basically, what do you say? A driver's license is not a right, but you got the right to travel. You know what I'm saying? So the means of traveling is a vehicle, and it's all about wordage. You know what I mean? And then the way that the police are playing, they play like they ignorant of it. You know what I mean? Until you go before a judge. Which what are those considered the the priests are like Saturn. That's why they wear all black and whatnot. It's just like, this place is fucked up. You know what I mean? Like when you look at the flag that's inside the courtroom, it's deep. Like I said again, we're built this system or this country. It operates in a system of deception, and that's why we talk about this man being the devil, which devil means deceiver.
That they were doing it, I was like, fuck.
Yep.
It's absolutely 100% going to go through, and they're not going to be able to stop it, because that's exactly what a driver's license is.
Why do you think we have to register our car with the state every year? Why do you have to know where my car is at any given time and know the information and this and that? So if you park in a red zone, that's what they can do. They can tow your car. You own the loan, or you're paying on the loan. Some stranger can just pick up your material.
They're using the statutes to manipulate the law.
Right, UCC, Uniform Commercial Codes. This is all part of the system. But when they put, a UCC lien on you, or they can dip into your account, and that's the thing. People really think they own shit, but they don't.
Yeah.
And then I show you, like, I'm not gonna replay it. Again, this caught my attention. I'm just waking up. It's I was in the witching hour. Or what is that? It's mentioned in the scriptures. I think it's the 4th hour. Time between I think it's like 3 and 6 in the morning. But or the 4th watch, I think. But and that makes a lot of sense because of the fact that how they, pretty much the government can come seize your property in a state of war because of the fact that you never really owned it from the get-go. So again, maybe think watching that video, waking up, made me think of a few different things. It says, I'll start at this book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 27. I'm going to start at verse 1, and it reads, "Many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeketh for abundance will turn his eyes away. As a nail sticketh fast between the joinings of the stones, so doth sin stick close between buying and selling. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown." And we know that Esau Edom isn't, he's diligent to do wickedness, but he doesn't fear Yahweh Shai. So this place known as Babylon the Great, aka America, is going to ultimately be overthrown. I dropped this damn phone like 17 times. I got this damn phone. I cannot see. I need maybe some read glasses. It's the book of, I looked this up. It was just a simple Google search, and it says Scriptures frequently addresses the reality of wicked systems, describing them as institutionalized corruption, oppressive governing authorities, and spiritual darkness. The Bible, that's why the Scriptures talk about, what's that, Ephesians, we battle Ephesians chapter 6, spiritual wickedness in high places. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, against powers, principalities, and spiritual wickedness in high places. These people with authority have demons on them, and that's why they participate and do so much demonic shit. I mean, again, look at the little. I was going to do a lesson on it, but I didn't. But I was watching the brother from the West Coast. He did a lesson on it. I forgot that brother. Well, I don't name names, but I try not to anyway. But yeah, and I don't know if I made mention of it or he just came across it. Again, I'm just coming to the realization that, I did a lesson earlier today, and the brother from Jersey did a lesson, and we did the same lesson on the same thing, and we did it at the same time. That's the spirit. I'm just grateful that the Lord's still dealing, you know what I mean? And I'm talking about, not to make it about me, but I'm talking about everything you could think of that can happen this month. And all I keep thinking about is every time something bad happened, I was like, it's Jew. It felt like my brain was imploding. I said, what the fuck? This shit crazy. I hope the Lord, well, obviously, if the Lord taking you through it, He's preparing you for it. How do you cope with it? How do you deal with it? Yeah, yeah. You get smacked in the head a whole bunch of times. One or two things can happen. Or better yet, rephrase. When those Muay Thai fighters fight, when the way they condition their body is, they hit bamboo trees, they hit something hard, and then to that point, you know, those bones, because that's not muscle. They break, their shit hurts so hard, because they've broken bones, and when the bone reforms, it comes back harder. It's deep. It says oppressive authorities and institutional corruption. The Bible warns that societal systems become corrupted when injustice, bribery, and the oppression of the poor become the norm. And if we not seeing the oppression of the poor, the brother again was going into how they passed the law. Even Trump just said it. And I saw this like last week but it'd be so much going on. I ain't gonna lie. You can't use an excuse. If you can't come up with a lesson with all this stuff going on, you got to really sit back and fast and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, cause truly, like, again, it's too much going on. Yeah. And you see brothers in the proper spirit, they like, it's a beautiful time. I ain't gonna lie. Like I say, I'm going based off of certain information, you know what I'm saying? But then, again, why would you be surprised that this man lied? This man, again, think he just like if you've been watching, because like I said, I was watching that Adrian Broner and the guy Dean, so I guess they shit pop up in my feed, so I end up seeing them here and there. But I don't watch those type of like that streaming shit, but I have watched them. And again, when you see how that dude AB act, again, I wasn't really familiar with him, you know what I mean? I love boxing, but I don't watch it like I used to. So, and I will be honest. Well, let me rephrase that, because if you really into something, you're gonna know about it, And I don't know, about all these different boxers. I certain boxers I watch, but I didn't know how good he was or whatnot, and I watched how that fight against that Northern Kingdom, Jake, what's his name? I know it started with an M. That really, fucked him up, Like, ultimately, like, that fucked him up. So that's why he went into a deep depression, which that's a spirit, that's a demon on him. But like he said, his name the problem. So, of course, like, ain't nobody about to get this dude to be able to stop drinking or none of that shit. And it's spiritual too, because when I first watched it, I was like, "Damn!" And then I just saw Shakir make a statement. They like, well, he happy for him because he making money and he doing, because he's like, at the end of the day, he grown, and most people, ain't nobody gonna be able to get him to stop drinking. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, but at the same time, everybody realizes that he needs to stop drinking. So again, like, he the perfect crash test dummy for these people. They'll give him some money because he, like I said again, like they said, he got this perfect type of personality. People want to be entertained, so he go. I ain't gonna say do anything for entertainment. He doing how he naturally is. That's why they said that they took over streaming and all that shit, which is a hell of a thing. That's how like I said, that's the next big thing for real. Like, they gave these nobody ass people. I will say this. I won't say they're not talented. These dudes got different talents, but they nobodies. You know what I mean? They would have never got to the point in life of it's an agenda behind this. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at that whole Castanet thing and that Streamer University, like, you got people that really are under the delusion of, oh, I'm gonna become a streamer or worldwide. You got streamers that tell you that pretty much they not making no money like that with that shit. So yeah, I mean, again, we live in a false reality. You know what I mean? Like, well, let me rephrase, because reality is your perception. It could be something going on, but I could see one thing in a person that's detached or doesn't have the spirit on them wouldn't see what I see. You got people still question. I heard brother say that. Why is the gas going up? Why the food going up? Like, what you talking about? Like, you don't watch any kind of news. Like, so you're not living within reality. You have a person that's in 19 years old, but not in reality. They watching Cassinet too much. Like, nigga, don't you know that they passed legislation that you could be drafted? You know what I mean? Since the Bible warns that societal systems become corrupted when injustice, bribery, and oppression of the poor become the norm. Proverbs 29 and verse 2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when a wicked man rules, the people groan. I don't know if that's the NIV or NLT or something. That's not the King James. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 8. If you see the oppression of the poor and the violent perversion of justice and righteousness in a province, do not marvel at the matter. For high official watches over high official and higher officials over them. So, again, you got people put in positions and it's supposed to be checks and balances, but this whole administration, this whole system is corrupt. You know what I mean? I've seen, the biggest gang, what they say, the biggest gang for real is the police force. Yeah. I've witnessed that with my own eyes. I remember one time, personal testimony, I went to jail and I was on house arrest. Mind you, again, it's easier to say than that, or some people don't get the download or the breakdown of the breakdown of how, when you say that you doing this for the Lord, then that means everything else, if it's not benefit. And that's what the elder meant when he was saying what he was saying. Yeah, it was a bad look, but at the same time, that's why you have to be careful what you say on this internet. Because again, this shit don't go away. And if they collected a database of all our videos and everything that's said and everything you do online, they gonna use this as a witness against you. But again, like I said, I wasn't even with the demon. Like, I used to show you how cold the Lord is. I wouldn't even be with this bitch. Like, one time, a brother even tell you that. Like, one time I got into it with the dude where we used to camp at, and I cussed his ass out. He called the police. And I remember he gave us a pizza one time too. It made me wonder, did they do something to the pizza? But he was fucking a little Jake woman in there and all that shit. Like, this was Ishmael. But long story short, I go in there, and this is when, I forget, I don't even think the masses was mandatory. So I'm in there, I'm talking to one guy, and the other guy come in, I think he maybe be the owner or related to the owner or something like that, and he's talking about the mask and all that shit. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how many people you see without a mask on? He didn't say nothing. So me and dude get into an argument. I'm like, man, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, and I got on my hookup, you know what I mean? So, I'm not proud of it, But long story short, I had been around her in like a year and a half or something. And come to find out I had a warrant. Like, that's how that shit would go. Based on her calling and me basically leaving the scene. That's how fucked up the system is. You know what I mean? You leave, but she called, and then basically they could just put a warrant out. Like, huh? Well, because I guess because basically she had to have said something to press charges. Yeah, I had a real live demon. But the reason why I brought it up for is because of the fact, like, you got individuals that try to pretty much point the finger at the elder, saying that he told them to do this, when if you didn't understand the mission, or you didn't get the understanding of what he was saying, the wisdom of it. He never told you, because at the end of the day, we all men. So what you choose to suffer for, all our lots is going to be individualized. All of our lots is going to be catered to us for our walk. Some men and the brothers of the truth don't go through the things that some brothers of the truth go through with their women. And I'm pretty sure we all do, because, the women, the spirits can jump on the women easier. I've heard a lot of brothers, brothers you would never expect to speak about they household things. They might not tell everybody, but yeah, it's not easy having a family or a wife in this thing. I know it's spiritual just because of the simple fact, before I came to the truth, I never went through this with women. Ever. But, I'm going through it even now today. Because Satan know you, he know how to get you out your hookup. Just yesterday I was up there trying to use the phone, and my phone was going in and out, in and out. I'm talking about the wind would blow, and I went outside because she was like, she couldn't hear me inside the house. And I'm like, well, damn, why is that? I go outside on the porch. Then she can hear me. Then she he breaking up again. And I happen to feel the wind blowing me. I said, what the fuck? So again, my internet was loading so slow. That's Satan. And Satan know what bothers you, you know what I mean? And if it's broke, why fix it, I mean, if it's not broken, why fix it? If you ain't figured out how to overcome this, then Satan can keep on coming, with the same little 1-2 punch. You know what I mean? So it says, for high official watches over high official, and high officials are over them. So ultimately, we all being watched. The scriptures talk about the Lord's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, which means the angels, because the angels is watching and reporting everything that man's going. What man doing, So although this system is corrupted, the Most High God sees. How about Shemiah Shai sees and recognizes, and at the end of the day, the scriptures talk about because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. They think that they believe that they got away with something. But this red devil's arms ain't long enough to box with the Most High. Psalms 94 verse 20, shall the throne of iniquity, which deviseth evil by law, have fellowship with you. Which this man's system, again, is built on corruption, built on unrighteous decrees. It's making me go back to the brother from the West Coast because, again, it was talking about how they passed the law or try to pass a law, these automakers, where pretty much you can't fix your own vehicle anymore. So even though you can't afford the vehicle, for the vehicle that you can afford, think about that. Because, these dealerships repairing it, that money is, that shit that's high end. That's why people go through, backyard mechanics or they learn how to work on their own car. You telling me now you ain't gonna be the car? So how that lets you know you don't own shit. You tell it that's spiritual. If you telling me if I bought this, it's supposed to be mine because it's about it, you can have something in your possession, but it's not yours because you might not have title or you might not have these different things. But I got title? What you mean? I still gotta go through you to fix it. And then now, like I said again, they gave them the power to actually, or basically, you got because I think it was Steve. No, it wasn't. It was Patrick Humphrey. He was going into how pretty much you got GM making deals with these Lockheed and Martin and these military contractors to actually manufacture and produce weapons for the government because people can't afford no cars and shit like that. And then they got these major megalithic facilities. It's getting bad out here, but it's more to come. I've been rambling again. I don't be able to do that, but try to start learning to articulate. Just at the job, motherfuckers say every time I say something, he like, excuse me? I'm like, I know I'm not talking that low. You know what I mean? Fucking in the Edomite, it was 2 Edomites doing the shit. And I'm like, well, hold on. I had to really check myself damn, hold on. I do mumble. I never used to mumble. But I developed this mumble. Probably psychological or something like that. But I got a roommate. I talk to her all the time. I'm like, well, you can hear me clearly, so how the fuck? Say it, nigga. I don't even know if there's anything I want to bring out here. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. And I will start at verse 1, and it reads, man of lawlessness. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the covenant of our Lord Yahweh Mashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Mashiach is at hand. We seeing all these different things taking place, again. You got 2/3 of the nation, and it's funny because the same thing he said, or the same thing I said, we saying the same things, because at the end of the day, we both recognize, he made a statement, I forgot exactly how he worded it, but he was like, he said, pretty much, if you not in link with the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah, pretty much you go fall short, because you got people that say they believe, but, the true believers, we want these things. Like we said, fuck no, don't sign. No, let it be no peace for the wicked. He used a whole bunch of, because it is a few different books with that phrase, no peace for the wicked. I used Isaiah 48, but again, and it's wicked of our people as well. But at the same time, it's like 2/3 they want this shit to be peace. But the true believers, we don't want no peace. We want what he said, we want nothing but problems. He said peace. We don't want peace. We want problems. Yeah, that shit was funny. I would have to look that up. I don't know what movie that is, but it's like somebody like cut that and put it in some other stuff. That's it. What problems? Anyhow, no, we want the smoke, because again, we understand the sooner these things come to fruition, the sooner our big brother, our Lord and Savior, Yahushua Mashiach, who they call Jesus Christ, is coming back. Again, like this place sucked. Again, we gonna be set up to get some welfare shit. The funny part is they want to take away, the social system to give you back an even more, oppressive social system. I mean, what's the word? Damn, I'm halfway asleep. Whew, Slovakia. But you got these different these different programs in place to help you financially. When you downtrodden and lonely. They're gonna take away. Because they're taking people off this system in order to bring back a new system. But it's gonna be even more oppressive, because again, if you don't spend it, or they can control what you get. Like that what got me right there. It's already an oppressive ass system, but now they like, you can't even buy what you want. You ain't gonna be able to buy the clothes you want. You might be you gonna be grateful for another pair of socks. I was homeless before, so if you ain't staying in no shelter, which them shelters and shit, like I get why people slept outside. Like I did this shit. I had like 4 or 5 bandos. Because especially when you a new believer or whatnot, like you will see the spirits. Spirits will be fun. Like the spirits just, they say again, that's the testing ground in itself. And if you ain't a believer, you'll see the demons start popping out of motherfuckers and shit like that. It says, verse 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed. We had to fall away from our heritage. We had to forget who we were. And the man of sin is being revealed right now, the son of perdition, meaning destruction. Perdition goes into destruction. And who is the son of destruction? Esau Edom, the so-called white man, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. This man has a God complex. And that's why, the precept to this could be Ezekiel chapter 28. Scripture say, but he's a man, and he's not God. The Lord gave him power, but again, this man is a child with a nuclear bomb. You know what I mean? I forgot what movie. I mean, I admit it, shit. Like, me, some thousands of these. I need to order my mind. You know what I mean? And every time I try to go do it, Satan turned up more. But then the Lord catch me at the last end. I hate that little dog. There's a little. I don't know what the fuck is one of those little terriers. As a girl too, so she used to try to run up. And, I had two. I had two dogs. She used to try to run up and like this little horse ass dog. Then they just let the damn dog run up and down the street. They just kick it. The fuck you got this dog for if you don't want to take care of it? Yeah, people funny. Verse. I'm gonna skip to verse 8. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which are the prophets, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, when the Lord returns in the UAP. Even him whose coming is after working of Satan, the adversary with all power and signs and lying wonders, his technologies, and with all, a lot of people believe in it that Neuralink and these different, what's it called? Those brain interfaces, is actually going to be, like the second coming of Christ, like Elon Musk said. The second coming of the Christ. When people go jump on that shit, just like I was just saying, like is the hot topic right now is the Haragma or these microchips and brothers going into how they talk about the prisoners being implanted with them. That's a hot topic right now. And I can just see how many people jump. Because if you ain't never been locked up, you won't understand that. A lot of they not. You got people that's not even gonna care. I told you, I met a female. She was like, "Well, I ain't got no problem with it." I'm like, "What?" Just like you had a lot of people that ain't had no problem with getting that jump shot. And the thing is, you got to always question when they try to force something on you. This supposed to be the land of the free, the home of the brave, or whatever the fuck they say. And then, you're supposed to be able to live as freely as you would in Babylon the Great, but then now you don't have a choice. You got to do it? Like the fuck? Yeah, but it's, these mysteries are revealed for those that the Lord want to know. And for those that he doesn't want to know, they're going to be deceived. So, I think I'm going to end it with that. I think you got the point. Yeah, we had amazing times. So I'm going to end it there. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to Call Lawyer Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua Ba'ashim Kodash. Double honors to the elders, to the apostles that have learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives, as well as the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwata to listen and learning, Lord willingly, this is edified. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations. Fear like the other nations will subscribe to this truth to you. I say Shalom. Till next time, Lord willingly, Shalom, Shalom. Kwam Yasharallah, and Wath, Lamabah.